contest to go in that thing, so 4 bouts. It's just going to be, I'm just going to talk a couple of minutes now. I don't know, some of you may or may not know about the Repton Amateur Boxing Club. It was south in the East End of London, Bethnal Green. All 3 of the Cray brothers, Ronnie, Reggie and Charlie, fought for Repton. They fought for Repton in the very, very early 50s. And so it's got a bit of a reputation, certainly in the East End. And if you ever go to London, you go on one of those crime and gangster tours, and you go to the pub where Ronnie or Reggie, I never forget which, the twins, killed the man, you always end up going to Repton. In fact, they used to do a situation where you go past Repton and you maybe pop your head in, so it's got that reputation. But what it's really famous for is being arguably the most successful amateur boxing club in history, not just in history, because all the very big amateur boxing nations, Cuba, they don't really have amateur boxing clubs, they have a system. Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, they don't have amateur boxing clubs on the corner in the community like we do in the West Midlands, like we do all over Great Britain and Ireland. They have a system, so you see, literally, you give your kid over at 10, 11, he might be a weightlifter, he might be a rower, he ends up becoming a boxer. But we still have an old system where you walk through the door, your mum drops you off, kicks you through the door, you go in, you become a boxer. And over the years, Repton has had countless world champions. I think it's 4 or 5 world champions. They had a man called Leslie Stewart, who people don't remember, who in the 80s boxed for Repton, went on the run, went to Miami, became an American citizen. He was from Barbados, originally won a world title. Back in the 70s, they had 1960 Olympian John H. Stracey, who's been a guest in this room. He won a world title, having boxed the Olympics for Repton. A man called Maurice Hope, who won a world British light middleweight title and a world light middleweight title. He boxed for Repton. And Darren Barker, some of you might remember Darren Barker from the last 20 years, he boxed for Repton. And what they do, and they still do it now, and it's like something from the 40s or the 50s. If you go to Repton on a Saturday morning, they've always had a babies class, so 6 and 7 year olds. Sometimes there'll be 50 or 40, 6, 7 and 8 year olds. And I'm told at the moment, they've got a waiting list of over 100 children, parents who want to get their children on that boxing conveyor belt, try and get them through the system, try and get them through the door. And that's something that Repton do really well. And part of the reason for Repton's success is there was a man who ran it for 50 years called Tony Burns, who died, I think, in 2020. Now, Tony Burns ran Repton, and he built this enormous system. It's one of those rare clubs that have had British professional champions, European professional champions, Commonwealth professional champions, world champions, and also an Olympic gold medalist. Now, a lot of people tend to laugh at Big Audley Harrison. And it's easy to laugh because he became a bit of a cartoon character, and we all took the mickey out of him. And he was Audley, and he used to talk about his station, but Audley did something in 2000 in Sydney. He became the first British Olympic gold medalist for 32 years. So some of you in this room who are under the age of about 35, all you know is Olympic success. We have Audley, we have Amir Khan reaching the final at 17, James DeGale getting a gold medal, Anthony Joshua, Luke Campbell, Nicola Adams, all those guys get into finals, so you only know success. But for those of us who are over the age of 30 odd, we had the worst 32 years of our boxing life. Every single Olympics, we'd send the boys out, we might get a bronze medal, it was diabolical. And Big Audley came along, sure, he was a good talker, sure, he was a pain in the jackson, sure, he was confident, sure, he upset people, he was the ultimate Marmite fighter. But what Audley did, what the Repton boxer Audley Harrison did in 2000 was, with that gold medal, is he set in motion the funding which makes the GB setup, and Richie works at the GB setup in Sheffield. At any given time, there's 30 boxers living there in the apartments, training around the clock, winning gold medals. So much so that in London at 2012, the top boxing nation wasn't the Cubans, it wasn't the Russians, those dirty, It wasn't the Uzbeks or the Kazakhs, it was Great Britain. Great Britain was the #1 nation. Last year in Tokyo, we were the #2 nation behind the Cubans. And that's a powerhouse that was set in motion by a man who started to box wearing a green vest, the green vest of Repton. I think that's something that needs to be considered. But that whole idea that one amateur boxing club can have 50, 6 and 7-year-olds training and at the same time can have elite level boxers, boxers going off to the Olympics, boxers that have won world titles. So what you're seeing here tonight, all of you that are here, all of you that have come through the turnstiles and have given up your Sunday afternoon and delayed your Sunday roast to have a few drinks, is you're seeing boxers from Repton. And I know I mentioned earlier on about the programme. I assure you, keep the programme from this fight tonight. Keep the guys. Who knows? Perhaps Marmaduke Jawara will go on to do something. Who knows? Perhaps Brandon Davis will go on to do something. And in 5 years' time, 6 years' time, you can tell people, because Repton do not deal in average fighters. They do not deal in guys that are just here to make up the numbers. They deal in fighters that have vision, fighters that want to go on and do something. And as I say, over the years, they've had those world champions. They've had 11-year-old schoolboys grow up, turn professional, go to the Olympics, end up getting gold, end up getting silver medals, gold medals, bronze medals, and then winning world championships. And that's a conveyor belt. And in British boxing itself, there's only 3 clubs in the entire history of amateur and professional boxing that have had an Olympic champion who's then gone on to become a world champion. There are only 3 clubs, and that's an awful lot of Olympics, an awful lot of boxers going to Olympics, an awful lot of world champions. And only 3 times ever has a club had it. And that was James DeGout from Dow Youth, gold medal 2008, who then went on to be a world champion. Big AJ, Anthony Joshua, both of whom have been guests in this room. And to be honest with you, when you look at it like that, it's a phenomenal list of great fighters who go on to do great things. Now, with this little break, this isn't so that you can hear me talk. This little break is to allow the people to get themselves sorted backstage so they can do the 4 fights. But there's a man here I'd like to introduce you to if I could, and maybe we'll get a round of applause. I'd like to think we will. A man who started off as a schoolboy at Shrewsbury, a schoolboy, and went on over decades, a 76-year association, 76 years being linked to an amateur boxing club. He went from schoolboy, he went all the way through to chairman, and he's now finished with the boxing, retired. I'd like, if we could, to have a special basketball welcome for a man. Colin Hoff. Colin, can you stand up, please? 76 years of devotion to the sport. Thank you, Colin. When Colin started in this business, and it was like very few things in boxing, actually before my time, the squad that was picked for the Olympics was randomly selected. It would be an ABA champion, it would be this champion. We've got a system now, up in Sheffield where Richie works, there are 5 rings. Then there's a special ring which is in an oxygen tank. And so there's a combination for 70 or 80. It's the goal. It's where every single amateur boxer wants to be. And it's where every single one of the pros that you know has been. So just consider that as these boxers are getting up in the ring. You're not just cheering a young kid, let's say a kid called, C. Weston. You're cheering a kid who's got a boxing dream. And today here in basketball, he's fighting. He's having a bit of that boxing dream. He's living a bit of that boxing dream. If you're from the West Midlands, you're fighting Repton. If you're from Repton, you're representing that green vest. A vest which they wear like it's armour. You're representing Repton against the West Midlands. They're on a mission. It took them 3.5, 4 hours to get here today. They met at the gym this morning, almost in the small hours, to make their way here. So let's make sure we show some appreciation for all of the boxers coming. The ones in the red corner, the ones in the blue corner. Thanks very much. It's 2-0 at the moment. If you're West Midlands fans, let's cheer them on. If you're a Repton fan, let's cheer them on the victory. Enjoy the afternoon. Boxing on a Sunday. Sunday afternoon in Cannock. One was one.